owned this land for a long time and finally got the water spreading rights. And in '07 we started our expansion here. And this is a really nice site. We're about, Jennifer, you say we're about 1,400 feet here?
About 14.
Yeah.
Now, what's your history here?
I started in '79 and started out in the dirt. And then worked up to manager, started in '83 and managed here through '83 through '90. And then that's when we bought the Canoe Ridge property and I went down there and did that project.
Now what's the scope of your all your business with St. Michel?
Well, I'm VP of Vineyards, so all things grape.
What's special about Coal Creek?
Heat, soil. Bob?
Coal Creek is special mainly for its intensity and the age of the vines, the low crop, the old vine character you get with the, to me, the immense concentration and tannin, which you have to be very careful of as a winemaker. Coal Creek tannins can overwhelm you on the red side, and I had to learn, actually, coming up from California, how to manage tannins differently in Washington in general, but here in Coal Creek specifically, because to me they're like a wild thoroughbred. You have to learn how to tame. And after 6th, 7th crush now, we're finally, I think, understanding both the vineyards, the site, and also the winemaking as well in the facility at Canoe Ridge Estate. So all that together, though, the Coal Creek Vineyard is you know, it's the kind of the base notes and ballast of almost all of our high-tier reds at Chateau Saint Michel, and it's a very, very special place.
Now, how many times a year will you visit Coal Creek?
Too many, according to the vineyard manager, viticulturist, right, guy? I am here twice a week for 2 months, basically. Well, and a few times during the growing season, I'll come through and just to find out how things are going on, or what's going on, what's different this year, any problems we've seen. But then once you get toward the harvest season, I'm here every Monday and every Thursday are my vineyard walk days, and I always hit Coal Creek on the way over, and I hit Coal Creek on the way back, right until the end. And Coal Creek actually does finish up a little sooner than some of the other vineyards. So sometimes we're out of fruit here by, could even be like the first week of October. We might be winding down because of the low crop loads and the heat here. Things do ripen rather quickly. And here we are on September 21st, and we're actually looking at picking Cabernet right now. So it can be a short and sweet season out here because of the heat units and the low crops. But I'm out here at least twice a week.
Well, it's the majority, the big variety is Cabernet Sauvignon. And it has been noticed, even our first vineyard designated wines were from Coal Creek. The first one, I believe, was 1978. And it was recognized early for being a really good Cabernet site. Like Bob says, it's very powerful. And probably the second biggest varietal would be Riesling. Even though it's a hot site, it makes a really nice style, tropical style of Riesling. Then over the years we've diversified quite a bit. We planted in the replants, of course it's been more Cabernet, but we've also planted more Chardonnay. So we put in some Cab Franc, and then in this new planting, more clonal diversity, mostly Cab, but also some of the Bordeaux blenders like Petit Verdot. And then we got up here, this is very rocky up here on top, so it's more of the Rhone varietals, which do better on rocks. Syrah, intensive replant after the '79 freeze. 325 acres were just killed outright. And that was my first year. Probably my training was more early on, learning how to pull out vineyards rather than to plant. But it was a good experience. Mourvedre and Grenache.
And, you would have spent some time with Dr. Clore here, correct?
Yes, yes.
What was he had this side kind of hand-picked as one of his?
Yeah, he long before St. Michel purchased this property, Walt thought this is an excellent area. He knew it had the heat units and soil, and it's got a beautiful, almost direct, gentle south-facing slope, which is really ideal. And no, Walt had his eye on this for a long time. And the company purchased the first eastern part, and then I think it went through 2 other purchases to get to the size it is now. But the first planting was in '73, and then we had a But when we did that, we subsoiled. We ripped. When they first planted this vineyard, they didn't rip, and so the real shallow areas, the roots didn't get any penetration and they froze, and that's why the plants died. Generally, they'll survive below the ground, but that was a tough winter. So there was a big replant in 80 and 81 following the 79 freeze. But I think that was a kind of a blessing in disguise, because some of the varieties that were planted here at that time were Gewürztraminer, Semillon, really varieties that are probably better suited for the cooler areas like the Yakima Valley, and that gave us a chance to come back in here and plant more Cabernet Sauvignon, which is definitely the horse of this vineyard. However, Cabernet gets recognized, but Bob makes a very nice Cold Creek Chardonnay also. So
I guess it speaks to the vineyard, the versatility that the winemaking happens here.
yeah, what happens here is the heat's so intense that you can get everything ripe. So
Can you talk about the heat unit factor here?
well, it's if you go by the California region, in a hot year, it can be up to 5, region 5. So it's on a cool year, it might be high 3. So it's even in a cool year, it's got plenty of heat units to get things ripe.
And as far as the vintage, there were some concerns earlier in the spring, but it sounded like June was the key month.
Yeah, I think, Bob can weigh in on this. I think this season has been outstanding. And we did have that one blast of heat, but it was only for that 10 days or so. And then we didn't have a lot of extreme heat after that. So potentially, it depends on how the wine turns out, but I think potentially if the fall stays stable like it is now, I think it has the potential to be a good vintage.
So the name Cold Creek is a misnomer.
Yeah. It's cold in the winter, but and the creek doesn't run anymore unless there's snow melt. When I first started in '79, the creek used to run sometimes up into early June, but it hasn't done that for 25 years.
So when you started in '79, how big was the vineyard, acres?
It was 585 acres.
And then with the current plantings you have, including the new stuff?
770.
And then there are plans for another 100 more?
About
Oh.
80 to 100. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Is there anything can I get you to talk a little bit about the fire? You got pretty close here.
Well, Joe was the one I wasn't out here. We didn't get much damage. A little bit on the western edge of the vineyard, singed a few vines, but it was kind of scary.
No man's land.
Yeah, yeah.